Hi everyone. This video is sort of an addendum to my other video where I analyzed the two somewhat recent musical television shows, Gallivant and Schmigadoon. In that video, I mentioned that I didn't really like the plot or story of Schmigadoon and thought that the message they were trying to get across was a bit unclear. I also mentioned that I don't like videos that criticize things without offering an alternative. So in this video, I'd like to answer the question, what would I do? How would I change Schmigadoon to improve on the message and story? And I'm not going to go over what happens in the actual show, since I've already summarized it in my other video. Also, of course, spoilers. Alright, so in Season 1, I think the relationship problems between the two leads should be clearer. Specifically, Melissa should really like musicals and expect the sort of idealized love story and over-the-top behavior seen in them. Josh should be shown as loving Melissa, but not the type of person who shows that love in grand gestures. They can go on their couples retreat to try to repair their relationship and stumble on Schmigadoon as they do in the actual show. Then, after spending a bit of time in Schmigadoon, Josh should convince Melissa to leave, even though she wants to stay, and she should begrudgingly go with him to the bridge. The leprechaun can appear and tell them they can't leave unless they have found true love, but they shouldn't actually try to cross the bridge and end up not being able to leave. Instead, Melissa should choose not to leave. She knows that she loves Josh, but she thinks they won't be able to leave because she doesn't believe Josh truly loves her. She also kind of likes the idea of living in a musical and kind of wants to stay there anyway. She heads back into town and Josh follows her, trying to convince her he does love her. But she doesn't believe him because he never shows it in the way she wants or expects. Then, as they stay in the town over the next few days, the people there and the unique aspects that musicals bring to people and situations should teach each of them things they need to learn. Josh should realize that perhaps, as people do in musicals, he can show Melissa he loves her a bit more through romantic gestures. He should realize that that is important to her and he should compromise a bit and meet her halfway. And Melissa, for her part, can realize perhaps that living in a musical is maybe a bit overwhelming and not really realistic. She learns that she probably doesn't need to maintain quite as high expectations for how Josh should show his love for her. Overall, it should be a bit more about compromise between the two and solving their specific issues through the help of the musical tropes, characters, and settings present in Schmigadoon. Additionally, there should also be references to more musicals. Although I mentioned in my other video that the incongruous time periods were distracting, there are some instances where it's not as obvious or problematic. The inclusion of Sweeney Todd in Season 2 worked well, even though it was set in an earlier time period. And I think the same thing could apply to Season 1. Both Annie Get Your Gun and Seven Brides for Seven Brothers could probably have worked well to include in the first season. And I really think humorous situations could have arisen from their inclusion. And as for Season 2, the first 3 episodes are really good, but then it goes downhill. After Josh gets acquitted of the murder charge, they just kind of hang around in Chicago, with Josh teaching and leading the hippies and Melissa performing, neither of which comes back at the end to progress their characters in any way. Instead of this, Melissa should spend her time working with the hippies and investigating the murder to build a case against Octavius Kratt and free Josh. But Josh should be found not guilty as a result of his lawyer's razzle-dazzle, as he really does in the show, but that shouldn't happen until episode 5. Then, both Josh and Melissa should be free to leave and maybe even go to the bridge, intending to leave. But they decide to stay and help, using all the evidence Melissa has already accumulated. The people of Schmigadoon helped them in Season 1, and now they're going to return the favor. And this is the lesson that they have to learn, and the message of Season 2. That when things are tough and they're up against it, they can't just run away, but they have to stay and work to make things better. And once they take down Octavius and help the people of Chicago, they then say goodbye, take what they've learned from their time there, and return back home. So, that's a really quick summary of how I would adjust both Season 1 and 2 of Schmigadoon. I don't particularly like the way the actual show unfolded, but I don't like criticisms of things that don't offer a better alternative. So, that's what I would do. If you have any thoughts on my changes or changes you would make, let me know in the comments. And thanks for watching.